So over the last 12 to 18 months, I've been noticing a lot of people discussing nervous system dysregulation. I specifically see this on places like the internet, social media, discussing how a lot of the symptoms you're experiencing is because your nervous system is dysregulated. In fact, I've been bumping into a lot of nervous system practitioners teaching you how to re-regulate your nervous system, where a lot of the struggles that you're dealing with food intolerances, with symptoms, anything that you're experiencing has to do with the fact that your nervous system is dysregulated. Now, if you've been someone that's been watching this channel, you might be thinking that's a good thing. People are talking about the nervous system more. The truth is that not that long ago, people were talking about just coping and managing with your symptoms. Now people are starting to get deeper and starting to understand actually what you're dealing with is a nervous system issue. And so you might be thinking people talking about nervous system dysregulation is actually a good thing. Well, in this video, I'm going to be talking about how it's a little bit nuanced, how I actually don't agree with everything being said. And as we've been helping people overcome their anxiety symptoms, the idea of nervous system dysregulation isn't really what's going on here. So in this video, I want to make a very quick one, really describing what people are discussing in terms of nervous system dysregulation and really why that's not what's going on. And when you can understand these small nuances, it's going to make a big leap in your recovery journey. I guarantee it. So with that said, let's get it started. So I want to briefly discuss the nervous system and why that plays into a factor in all of this. If you're dealing with panic attacks, if you're getting physical symptoms where every time you go to your doctor, they say everything's fine, dizziness, nausea, palpitations, digestive issues, I mean, you name it, depersonalization, derealization, intrusive thoughts, all these things that you're dealing with, you're not sure what's going on. You go to your doctors and they say everything is fine. Well, for a long time, and even now, it's still very prolific in the idea of you can just cope or manage with it. It's something we're focusing on changing. But a lot of people are talking about nervous system dysregulation. I'm seeing anxiety healers, quote unquote healers, people on social media, even therapists talking about nervous system dysregulation. Now, before I mention the dysregulation part, why does the nervous system even matter in this case? Well, to give a summarized perspective on this, there's a lot more nuance, but just for the sake of the simplicity of this video, the nervous system is really designed to protect you from threats. And so there's the central nervous system, that is the brain and the spinal cord, and then there's the peripheral nervous system. That's all the nerve endings. That goes to all your limbs, all different parts of your organs. And so your nervous system allows you to engage in physical activity in the world. It also reacts to changes internally and in the outside world. And so the nervous system uses electrical and chemical means in order to get the message or send messages. Now, there's different states when it comes to the nervous system. There is the fight or flight response, and then there's the rest or digest response. They both fall into two different categories. The fight or flight is what we call the sympathetic nervous system. It's really designed to protect you from threats. It turns on very quickly. It's very time sensitive. Now, the reason why it does this is that if you have a tiger coming at you, your nervous system is ready to go. If you have a bus coming towards you, you can react very quickly. It's designed to protect you. So the sympathetic nervous system branch is very strong. Now, the parasympathetic branch, think of it as a parachute. It slows things down. As it slows things down, you're able to rest. You're able to digest food. You're able to relax a little bit more. Now, what's interesting here is that if you have the fight or flight response, the sympathetic nervous system, and it competes with the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, I want to ask you, if they both were to compete, who would win? Now, the way to look at this and the way to look at everything in terms of anxiety is what's likely for you to survive if you have a stronger fight or flight response or a stronger rest and digest response. 10 times out of 10, the sympathetic nervous system will win. So the fight or flight response takes precedence. Think about it this way. Imagine you ate a cheeseburger and then a tiger comes at you. Your body's not going to be like, let me digest the cheeseburger first and then I'll run. Your body says, I don't care. We're going to pause digestion and we're going to run. Okay, so this is a quick summary. There's obviously way more nuances to it. And to be honest with you, I don't like going too deep into these nuances because you don't really need it in order to overcome your symptoms. You just need to have a basic understanding of what's going on and keep things simple so that you can keep moving forward in the recovery journey and not get confused by all these complicated verbiage and jargon. So what's the idea of dysregulation? Well, basically what this implies is that when your nervous system is in this fight or flight mode for too long, that your nervous system is dysregulated. And so you need to re-regulate it. It makes a lot of sense if you think about it. So imagine you have a stressful situation for a long time. Maybe you've been dealing with panic attacks and they don't seem to go away. And now they're happening in different situations. And now you can't even enjoy going to situations because what happens if you get another panic attack? So now you stop going out with your friends, you stop hanging out with family, and your life gets smaller, and that's naturally stressful because now you feel like you're a prisoner and there's nothing you can do. Maybe you're having vision changes all the time or some other physical symptom, and that it's very uncomfortable and it's bothering you and you can't really enjoy life because you're so hyper focused on these symptoms and you feel like it's preventing you from enjoying yourself and having fun. So when you're in this prolonged stress period, well, what happens is that your nervous system basically gets stuck in this fight or flight mode. Now, I do want to preface that there's nothing wrong with the fight or flight mode. Sometimes if you watch these videos, it can imply that the fight or flight mode is bad. It's not. The only issue is it firing in appropriate situations or not? And what the idea of nervous system dysregulation is that it's stuck in this fight or flight mode. And so you basically have to retrain your body to go into the parasympathetic mode, the rest and digest mode. Now, you might be looking at all this and saying, Shaan, isn't this exactly what you say? Isn't this what you mention on these videos, how your nervous system is in this fight or flight mode and you need to retrain it and teach it how to be in rest and digest? Well, there's a few nuances here to understand. And look, these are small nuances. You might notice it and you say these aren't that big of a deal, but I guarantee it. We've been helping people around the world recover. Nuances matter. These nuances have a lot to do with mind shifts, and anytime you make even a subtle mind shift, they make leaps and bounds in the recovery. So it's really important to understand this. And here's the main principle that I disagree with. The idea of nervous system dysregulation is that your nervous system is dysregulated. Basically, your nervous system is in this fight or flight mode and you need to retrain it to get back into parasympathetic mode. The problem I have with this is that it kind of gives the impression that somehow your nervous system is broken, that somehow you're broken and that you need to retrain it. Now, I don't think that's exactly what nervous system dysregulation says, but I've been speaking to a lot of practitioners and I noticed that even they have this small mindset of this idea that somehow your nervous system is broken and that you need to retrain it. Now, I disagree with that. I would say your nervous system isn't broken. Your nervous system isn't dysregulated. In fact, I would say your nervous system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. I don't talk so much about nervous system dysregulation. I talk about nervous system sensitization, right? So think about it as you hit a stress response, and as a response to that, your nervous system becomes more sensitive in order to deal with potential threats and danger. Now, is that nervous system dysregulation? I would counter that by saying, no, your nervous system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's not dysregulated. In fact, it's following your cues. It's following your commands. If your nervous system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, is it technically dysregulated? I would disagree. I use the term your nervous system is sensitized. Now, I want to make the distinction that sensitized is not broken. Sensitized is that it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, why is it staying sensitized? Or why is it staying dysregulated? This is where I feel a lot of nervous system practitioners miss the mark, which is, why is your nervous system staying dysregulated? Why is your nervous system staying sensitized, in my perspective? I would make the argument that it's staying sensitized or dysregulated. Again, I don't really like that term, which is it's staying that way because you are showing it to stay that way. Now, this can trigger some people because you might be thinking, how am I teaching my nervous system to stay alive? These symptoms suck. Why would I even have this? There's no way. If I could just snap my finger and make it go away, I would make it go away. How are you telling me that I'm keeping it alive? Well, this is something I break down, which I call the 5 Fs, which is the reason why your symptoms are staying alive is because you're resisting the symptoms. Basically, it boils down to these 5 things. You're fearing your symptoms. A lot of that happens because people don't know what's going on. They don't know why they're experiencing symptoms. They can't get clear answers from their doctors or therapists about why they're experiencing the symptoms. They feel like maybe it's some childhood trauma or like something that's going on, which really it's none of those things. It's just understanding the fight or flight response. They're trying to fight the symptom. Anytime the symptom comes in, they're resisting it. And anytime you resist it, it almost gets stuck and it almost prolongs and it gets more amplified. You're trying to fix the symptoms. You're doing everything you can to make the symptoms go away. You may be trying some herbal teas. You might be trying supplements. You might be trying breathing exercises, yoga, meditation, doing whatever you can to make the symptoms go away, you're naturally focused on the symptoms because it's so uncomfortable. So anytime you focus on something, it grows. And you're getting frustrated by the symptoms because you want it to go away, but it's not. And so now it's affecting your mood. This sounds like this isn't big deal, but this is a huge deal. This is what keeps your symptoms alive. See, when it comes to the nervous system, it doesn't know what's a real threat or what's an imagined threat. All it sees is that if you're resisting something, it's going to stay in this fight or flight mode. This is what's keeping your symptoms alive. So how do you break through that? Well, it's pretty simple. There's obviously, it's easier said than done, but high level view is really understanding why you're experiencing the symptoms, learn how to respond, be able to deal with setbacks because setbacks are part of the recovery journey. Anxiety recovery is not linear. It feels like it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Sometimes it's going to feel like 4 steps back. And so being able to deal with those nuances, then it's learning about regaining your core confidence. Chances are anxiety recovery has prevented you from living your life in some way. So it's learning to have confidence in your body and your mind and recognizing you're not broken. And then 5, which is learning how to make sure this never happens again. A lot of the reasons why it happens is because people have, I would say, unproductive bad habits. I wouldn't say bad habits, but I would say unproductive habits. And they just don't know why they're experiencing the symptoms, which is a huge reason why I fell into the anxiety cycle. But because your nervous system doesn't know what's an internal threat, so even if you're running away from something, even if it's a symptom, your nervous system thinks that's a tiger. And so that resistance is keeping your nervous system sensitized. But is your nervous system dysregulated? I would say no. I would say it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. If you're running away from something, your nervous system is supposed to be in the fight or flight mode. That doesn't make it dysregulated. That doesn't make it broken. Again, I might be looking at it as dysregulation might seem like it's broken. I might be conflating that. But when I'm talking to a lot of these nervous system practitioners, and even when I'm talking to people that are discussing nervous system dysregulation, it feels like somehow their nervous system is broken and that they need to do something in order to fix it. I would challenge them and say, no, your nervous system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The locus of control has to do with what you're doing. It's about regaining that accountability and recognizing actually your nervous system is just a mirror of what you're doing. It's not broken. The issue isn't with the nervous system. The issue is what you're doing, and your nervous system is just responding. Once you adjust your internal locus of control, meaning once you are able to respond correctly to what you want, which is desensitization, your nervous system will follow. Why am I making a video on this? And why is this subtle thing such a big deal? Look, anxiety sufferers naturally feel like they're broken. When you're experiencing these symptoms, they can feel so debilitating. No matter what anybody tells you, you feel like you're broken. And the truth is that words matter. The way you talk to yourself and the verbiage that you use has implications. And so when you're using the word dysregulation, you have to ask yourself, what is the underlying pretext of that? What is the underlying subtext of that? When I hear the word nervous system dysregulation, I get the impression that your nervous system is broken. That's me. And that's from a lot of people I've been talking to. Maybe nervous system practitioners say that's not the case. And what I really want you to get from this video is that you're not inherently broken. Your nervous system isn't dysregulated per se. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, is it sensitized? Yes. Are you experiencing symptoms in inappropriate situations? Yes. Are these symptoms very uncomfortable? Yes. But recovery is not about doing something to make it go away. It's recognizing that once you change a few things, your nervous system will fix itself, and as a consequence, the symptoms go away. A big part of recovery I always teach about is accountability. You are in charge of your own recovery. And anytime I'm working with somebody, they have so many preconceived notions about how they're broken, I almost have to break through all that. And that's why verbiage is so important. That's why words are so important. That's why I don't like the word dysregulation, because I think it gives an underlying impression that you're broken. So here are the main takeaways. Number one, your nervous system isn't really dysregulated. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, that might feel a little bit bad because it's forcing you to take accountability. And sometimes taking accountability might not feel good because it feels like somehow you've been doing this to yourself. Get rid of the blame, okay? Push the blame aside. It's good to know that recovery lies from within, that it's based on what you're doing. If I was to say, who do you want to recover? Do you want something to give you recovery, or do you want to have recovery internally? You will always say internally. Part of that is taking accountability that it's been your actions, it's your behaviors that's been keeping this alive. Once you understand that, that's where freedom lies. And number two, you don't need to do anything to fix your nervous system. As you start behaving appropriately, as you learn how to respond, your nervous system will adjust on its own. You don't need to do anything to fix it. You just need to focus on responding, pushing past your boundaries, learning to deal a little bit with the discomfort while having the proper knowledge and response tools needed. The nervous system fixes itself. And as it fixes itself, the symptoms just go away on their own. You don't need to do anything to fix the symptoms. You just need to learn a few key principles and all of this fixes itself. And recognize, again, your nervous system isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And the fact that you're experiencing this shows that you have a strong, robust nervous system. I hope this video helps. It's a subtle thing, but I think it was a very important video to make. If you want more resources on the recovery journey, if you want more guidance like this, you can check out the description box. And I'll also post in the first link to apply for mentorship. I hope this video helps, and I'll see you in the next one.